How do you do, ladies and gentlemen? I often find myself looking across my garden to the trees that track the stream and wondering what I'm worrying about. Even if I go up to my balcony or even to the top of the garden and stare out across the fields towards the sea, however hard I look, I can't see any advancing armies. Yeah, everything looks okay. Everything looks normal. But of course, everything is not normal. There are 4 serious wars in progress on this planet, all of which are really about nothing except man's inability to get on with his neighbour. In the meantime, I think I'll take the dog for a walk. Why not come along too? We've had a few drops of rain, but nothing that's going to fill the reservoirs. This means unless things change rather dramatically over the next 4 or 5 months, we're going to be in serious trouble. According to the weekly reservoir bulletin that was issued on November the 20th, the volume stored increased in 3 river basins in the country, but decreased in 12 compared to the previous week. Naturally, down in the Algarve, the reservoir levels decreased. Here are the levels of our 2 reservoirs. The Arad, 15%. The Bravura, 8%. I would say that is disastrous, but so far we have no rationing. The local administration has been discussing desalination plants ever since I've lived here, and that's 25 years. They're still talking, but so far no one has done anything. In the meantime, here is the local forecast for the next few days. Not exactly encouraging, is it? Oh, it's very pleasant. Rather nice, actually. But rain-wise, drinking water and all that, oh dear. But the figures do have to be translated. The percentage chance of rain doesn't actually mean much. The other day we had a 2% chance of rain, and it poured. This morning, well, this is being recorded on Friday the 8th of December, we were told that it was a cloudy morning. It wasn't a cloud to be seen. And that isn't a forecast, it's a matter of looking out the window. I don't know how they compute all this rubbish, but rubbish it is. Generally speaking, it doesn't rain here unless the percentage is listed above 65%. But let's move on. It looks as though the Ukraine war is effectively over. About time too. It seems as though the US Congress has decided that in an election year, enough is enough, and the money needs to be spent in the US, not in some far-off land. Not only that, but there's a fierce disagreement between the Ukrainian president and the chief commander of the army. The president wants the fight to go on. The commander is keen to stop the carnage. And why not? Clearly, the man commanding the guns is going to win against the one commanding the paperwork. But rebuilding Ukraine's economy is going to be a major operation and a terrible waste of time, energy and finance for something that could have been easily avoided. All Ukraine had to do was abide by the Minsk agreement. But that's now history. It certainly didn't help that Johnson stopped the Istanbul peace talks, where Russia was agreeing to halt its advances if Kiev would agree to a self-governing Donbass and stop bombing the province. However, this has now become another nail in the coffin of US hegemony. The US has now clocked up yet another failure. I don't know why they keep embarrassing themselves. In my lifetime, they've achieved nothing in Korea. Well, the British government did manage to take our home away from us and turn it into a training camp, which they later sold. Apparently 23 bungalows were built where I used to lay in my pram. Then they lost big time in Vietnam. I have to admit, I never did work out what they were doing in either country. Since then, they have bombed over 35 countries, caused regime change in over 50, annoyed most developing countries by the antics they get up to with their interest rate manipulations, which has seriously affected several countries' ability to manage their borrowing contracts. Most recently, they have started no less than 3 wars in Western Europe, one of which Julie and I got caught up in, and they are currently involved in no less than 4 ongoing conflicts, all of which are going badly. So where are we headed next year? Clearly, serious changes are in progress, and the Western alliance is looking very, very weak. The financial charts look terrible, and it certainly seems as though we have come close to the end of the current financial system. Fiat currencies are imploding. The only way out is a return to some kind of gold standard. The teenagers masquerading as politicians have gone mad with their credit cards, and there is no way to support the current quantities of debt. The question we are facing is, will Russia put the ruble onto a gold standard? If so, that will cause serious problems for the countries keeping their currencies secured only by political idiocy. That means those of us in Western Europe are heading for serious financial trouble. I think it's a waste of time trying to buy land now to act as a safeguard. I suspect its value is about to collapse. In fact, in the USA, the collapse has already begun. Here's an interesting chart. Private real estate prices are still rising where I live, but once fiat currencies start to fail, that will no longer be the case. I think it really is time to start converting your investments into gold. I will try and work out what I think is the best way to cope with the various possibilities in next week's blog. Right. Now I must get back to important issues. Where the heck is the dog?